Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. Okay, it looks like from information that's being released, Senate negotiators have come to a deal on the border issues that are happening in the United States. This deal would give the U.S. new power to clamp down on border crossings and restrict illegal migrant crossings at the southern border. Okay, now before I'll get in a tizzy, let's hear what we've got. The Senate's going to reveal this next week, or as soon as next week. It would speed up the asylum process to consider cases within 6 months. The current system says it takes 10 years. It could take up to 10 years to get your asylum case heard. So part of the negotiations is sometimes you get stuff you want, and sometimes you have to deal with the stuff you don't like. That's a negotiation. Nobody's happy with it. And this is how things get done. Otherwise, you're waiting for Donald Trump's perfect deal, which never happens, and then nothing happens. Okay, so giving you some extra details on this one. Biden praised the congressional negotiations, saying that they're both tough and fair. He also said what's been negotiated here would, if passed into law, be the toughest and fairest set of reforms to secure the border we've ever had in our country. It would give me, as president, new emergency authority to shut down the border if and when it becomes overwhelmed. And if given that authority, I would use it the day I sign the bill into law. Now, what they have here are numbers. And so you basically, what you're doing is you're regulating the amount of people allowed to cross into the U.S. border. And if it exceeds that number, then you start closing down the border to prevent the system from being overwhelmed by the number of people coming in. I think that's reasonable. Again, it's not an open border by any stretch of the imagination if you're regulating people, but you're also speeding up the process with which folks looking for asylum can get asylum hearings. I could get into the numbers. I'll just hit some really high-level stuff here. Under the soon-to-be-released package, the Department of Homeland Security would be granted new emergency authority to shut down the border if daily average migrant encounters reaches 4,000 per day over a 1-week span. If migrant crossings increase above 5,000 on average per day, the DHS would now be required. Instead of using emergency authority, now they're required to shut down the border to migrants crossing illegally, not entering at points of entry. Okay, so that's one of the things that you've got going on here. Is that ideal? No, it's not ideal, but it's a compromise, and it addresses some of the issues you have going down there. Now, to me, the border crisis isn't about the number of immigrants coming across the border. It's what's happening to those immigrants before, during, and after that border crossing. And, what protections are we giving them to make sure that they can cross safely and get asylum in the United States as per our treaties that we have throughout the world? It's the human element, not the number of people coming in, but the quality that they're being treated with as they try and get into this country. All right, so let's look at the energy around this. Oh, as you might imagine, this is going to set up a battle royal between House Republicans and Senate Republicans, and Republicans within the Republican Party. The border deal is tied with the Ukraine funding. Specifically, it's tied with Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan funding, but specifically Ukraine, because that's what the Republicans in the House want for some reason for the budget. There's a lot of bipartisan efforts in the Senate. There's a bipartisan support for Ukraine funding. Probably like 7 out of 8 senators want the Ukraine funding. In the House, however, there's a lot. Putin's and Russia seem to have a much stronger grip over the House than the Senate. And folks in the MAGA faction, Freedom Caucus, have been warning Mike Johnson that if he approves Ukraine funding, then he's going to be kicked out of his chair. They're going to vote to kick him out of his chair. So MAGA Mike's now got got a dilemma on his hands. Now, for the Republican Party, you've got the conservatives who want to get all this funding for our allies passed and get some legislation showing that they are working to address issues at the border. Again, both sides acknowledge apparently there's issues at the border. It's just which one's presenting the story you want to hear. Do you want to hear about the invasion of millions of brown people, or do you want to hear about what's happening to women and children when they come over? You know, which one's the crisis that you're concerned about? Which one's real? Which one's imaginary? The conservatives, again, they want to have some legislation, something to show to the voters that they're actually doing something that they wanted to work on. And I think from the Republican senator side, they think this is a great deal. The House folks, everything's short term. So, sorry, it's 6 minutes and we're getting into it here. All right, so what's the energy around this deal? Entertainment purposes only. The Magician, they've worked it. They've done it. They've created something that the Republicans and the Democrats can agree on. Again, hard negotiations. Not everybody's happy, but this is better than what we've got. And that's a good start. Yep, there's your celebration. Things are looking really good for this. It's going to have the support in the Senate. There's celebration on both sides for this. And this is going to benefit America and the American people, as well as people in general. So this deal that they've cut, whether or not we agree with it or we like it, this is like the best deal that we're going to get for both sides. So just roll with it. We can, you know, again, if Democrats get in charge and have firm control of both houses, you can amend these bills and do stuff that's even better and more compassionate for humanity. But this is the best that we can do for now. In the past, we've got the Ten of Wands. This has been a burden on both sides for what's happening on the border. And it's all about the messaging. You know, whether it's an invasion of minorities or if it's the atrocities being perpetuated onto by the vulnerable ones crossing the border, both parties have messaging that they've done to their bases. And things need to be done to resolve it. And it looks like they've taken this burden and they've come up with a brilliant idea. Okay, brilliant might be too strong a word. They've come up with a workable idea. Current situation is the death card. You've got Donald Trump and the House Republicans saying this thing's going to be dead on arrival when it comes over to the House. But it's also, you know, this is going to be one of these big fights in the Republican Party. Somebody is going to get their way and somebody is not. What the death card could also represent is this is the death of partisanship on this particular issue because it has big bipartisan support in the Senate. And, you know, you'll have to convince House members. More Democrats will probably take it than Republicans, but I suspect there might be enough Republicans in the House to get this thing through if they can get it to the floor. And into the floor it shall go. The Chariot's the overarching energy. This thing is going to continue to move forward. You got three major arcana here. This bill will move forward. It's not going to be killed. It's going to move forward. Lesson to be learned is the fool. It's the beginning of it. This is kind of like the beginning of a new era where the extremism is being put on display. And which side do you want to take? Do you want to take the side of bipartisanship and get this thing going through? Or are you going to take the side of waiting for the perfect deal and then you're a fool and you walk right off the cliff? Are you going to take the opportunity when it's handed to you? Out comes the Ten of Cups. Better America, happy results. I believe this thing is going to go through. This bill will make it through. I'll read on the House to figure out the implications, but I think, and of course, this is the funding. This is the funding for our allies as well. Yeah, this bill's going to make it through, folks. And again, I realize in the comments there's probably going to be an absolutely massive, heated debate as to whether it's right, whether it's wrong, is it good enough? It just... Does it favor the Republicans? Probably. But right now, you're looking at the Republicans' biggest talking point against Biden is the out-of-control border. You know, the open border. Passing this legislation robs the Republicans of one of their biggest talking points. So, is it ideal? No, it's not ideal. But this serves a political purpose for both parties. The Republicans can say they got border security and so you should vote for us. And Biden can remove that border security from the equation of people when it comes time for the general election. And I think Biden also understands that while that's not the deal that he would like, it's the deal that's been given to him. And he can understand... He's been a senator for decades. He understands how politics and negotiation processes work. Sometimes you get the stuff you want. Sometimes you don't get the stuff you want. But politically, this helps the Democrats too. The only people politically who suffer from this are MAGA folks in the House. They're the ones who suffer the most. Okay, what's the Freedom Caucus going to do with regard to this legislation? Oh, here's the burden. This is the hard part. Is the Freedom Caucus? Let's just do a short one. They're going to fight it. They're going to try and fight this thing, but there's going to be an agreement that comes in. Oh man, are they going to fight it? Look at all these wands. Oh, the hillbilly brawl. This is a tough thing to come through here. It's a big burden with a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. I think Johnson makes a deal with the Democrats. The Freedom Caucus is going to fight this, and they're going to raise Cain about it. But what's going on is there's going to be a deal made on this. Or this could just be that they're saying, to Johnson, you pass this, you know what the consequences are. We're going to fight this tooth and nail all the way through. We're not going to let this thing go unchallenged. They're just going to cause a lot of turmoil. And, there's some mystery behind it. But this card's got me thinking Johnson's going to make a deal. And I don't think it's necessarily a deal with the MAGA crowd. Okay, so let's now ask, will Mike Johnson, the Democrats, and approximately half, because half of the Republican Party, because looking at the extension of the budget, about half of the Republican Congress people voted to extend it, and about half voted not to extend it. Will Mike Johnson cut a deal with the Democrats to pass this border security bill along with funding for Ukraine, amongst other countries? Because remember, they're trying to tie these two things together. Border security with the Ukraine funding bill. The Ukraine funding bill has strong bipartisan support. And I think the reality is with the senators, they understand that this border bill will also have strong bipartisan support. So now it's just the House Republicans. Mike Johnson, will he cut a deal with the Democrats and the conservatives and the Republican Party to get this funding through? The Eight of Cups, walking away. Ace of Wands, strong idea. Queen of Swords, makes a harsh decision. Five of Coins, leaving folks out in the cold. And the Strength card. Okay, so he has to make a choice. And and the choice, he's going to be, it's a walking away card. If he decides to support, if he shows strength and supports the legislation, he knows the cost of supporting it. It's going to cause an uprising within his party, and they're going to toss him out. At the same time, if he supports this legislation, makes that hard decision, this gets the legislation through, and we don't starve out our Ukrainian partners and our partners. And it's going to take some strength to do this. This is not a weakness card underneath here. He's got a tough decision to make. Basically, do the right thing and take action, or leave our allies out in the cold. If he takes action, then he's out in the cold. If he refuses to take action, our allies are out in the cold. He's got the choice that he needs to make. But kind of regardless of the choice, he's going to be leaving. And if this is the leaving card, I think that means he's going to choose funding it, knowing what the consequences will be. And maybe it's just one of those things that I don't know. Let me ask. Does Mike Johnson think that if he passes this funding that he can land on his feet? Maybe he thinks he's got a plan. That leaving card could just be, I'm not taking this deal, I'm walking away from it. But does Mike Johnson think he can pass this? Or what, can we get some clarification on the leaving card? Is that him ignoring the bill, or is that him supporting it and leaving his position? What's the most probable outcome? It's him getting kicked out of it. Bye-bye. Don't let the door hit you on the butt on the way out. It's the right thing to do. There's the mystery. You don't know the consequences. Well, you know what the consequences are. You just don't know how bad the consequences are going to be. Maybe he wonders if the Democrats will support him. 3 major arcana underneath this. Oh, you got the moon card, but then you've got the sun exposing it. It's the right... I think he thinks it's just the right thing to do. Yeah, again, offers he doesn't like. There's probably... You know what's going on? There's a lot of negotiations going on behind the scenes. That moon card I think is really... Again, if you watch the video about Kari Lake and the ouster of the head of the GOP in Arizona, you're starting to get an idea of just how much intrigue is going on behind the scenes. How much big money and powerful families and stuff like that are influencing our politics. And I think it's going to influence Mike Johnson's decision too. I suspect that he will support it because he's told he's going to support it, even if it costs him his job as the Speaker of the House. He can go on and join some PAC in Louisiana as a lobbyist or something along those lines. Okay, so does this get passed? Does this get passed in its current form? We got the 6 of Swords, things calming down, moving into calmer shores, versus the 7 of Coins, the value of it. As they're walking away, they're looking at the value of it. This could also be the immigrants coming in, coming in by boat over the Rio Grande, and the value that's underneath there. Page of Swords. Kind of new, something different. I think it does get through. There could be some minor amendments that come through on the House, but I don't think it's enough to dissuade this. Maybe they want some funding cutting somewhere or something along those lines, but I do think this is going to get through. Yep, there's the Chariot card. This thing's going to push on through. It's about immigration, worldwide stuff. But it's not only about immigration. It's also, again, about funding Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan, etc. Star card. Okay. And there's the walking away. Oh, wow. It's the calm after the storm. So it's going to get through, and then somebody's got to leave. Yeah, this is Johnson's last act. And it just... Will it get through? Yeah, because the weighing has been done. What's the best? Now, mind you, again, the what's best for America, what's best for the United States, what's best for the wealthy families in there. Putin's saying no, but it's the values that are associated with this. and certain powerful families may want this. I think this gets through. I really do think this gets through, and this is going to be lights out for Mike Johnson. And then we'll get to go through another round of House Speaker votes. I wonder who it might be. If only there was a way to find out in an entertaining fashion. Should Mike Johnson be removed as Speaker of the House? Spirit, could you show me the characteristics of the person who does become Speaker of the House? I already took my drink. That's an inside joke. For folks new to the channel, over the summer, I had done a reading and saw Liz Cheney being the new Speaker of the House, and I'm given no small ration of shit for my choices. Okay, describe me the attributes of the new Speaker of the House. This is upside down. Somebody who's they're good for America. Somebody who understands the American dream and wants America to be a better place. It's a woman of action. What? They're going to be brought in. This could be. Welcome back. Sorry we kicked you out. They're going to be welcoming this person. Somebody who's been on ice for a while here. Also, somebody who's contemplative. It might be a little bit before this person comes in, but she will be welcomed in. It was somebody who understands a little bit of something about being kicked out of a big organization and is being welcomed back after being kicked out. I'm sticking by my choice. I still think it's Liz Cheney. We'll find out soon enough. Thank you for supporting my channel. Thank you for watching this video and doing everything you do to feed the YouTube algorithm so that my video gets boosted up and makes it out to a wider audience. To folks just discovering this channel and my man crush on Liz Cheney. My celebrity crush, excuse me. My celebrity crush on Liz Cheney. Welcome to the channel. I hope you found this reading insightful, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.